Hey guys, welcome to Film Learnin, the show dedicated to learning you some filmmaking and learning good. And welcome to the Film Learnin Season 2 finale. Today on the show, I'm turning it over to you guys as I answer some of the burning questions you have about myself, the channel, and who knows, maybe about life in general. So let's kick it off with our first question, which comes from Mark Longarm Show, who asks, how did you get to be such a god at editing? And is there a way I could absorb your powers a la Space Jam? First off, that's a huge compliment, so thank you, sir. I can answer this with 3 words. Repetition, repetition, repetition. The only way you can really get better at editing is to just keep doing it. I've been editing in various forms since I was 16, starting out with VHS tapes and analog editors, to non-linear editors like Pinnacle Studio, to Avid Media Composer, and finally to my current editor of choice, Adobe Premiere Pro. Nowadays, if something isn't flowing right or it needs a close-up or a couple of frames cut out, I can actually feel it. It's one of those things that I almost discount as second nature to me. And that kind of, instinct only comes from developing your talent over time. I may be a writer, director, and all that other visual effects jazz, but first and foremost, I consider myself an editor. It's actually my favourite part of the filmmaking process. Now, as far as absorbing my powers go, no. They're my powers. I need some. Jacob Stauffer asks, what inspired you to become Lone Archer Films? Basically, I was 16 when I came up with this name. I was sitting in my bedroom and I was drawing a poster for my first feature film, an adaptation of one of my favourite video games, Shadow Warriors, also known as Ninja Gaiden. At the time, my dad had a consultancy business called Lone Wolf Consultants, so I pinched his loan, and I was obsessed with the John Woo movie Face Off for obvious reasons, it kicks ass, and John Travolta's character's name is Sean Archer. So there's the Lone and the Archer, and then I added the films on the end, and that's where Lone Archer Films came from. A lazy 16-year-old stealing half his dad's company name and pairing it with a movie character. Oh, and by the way, I never made the movie. I hadn't even written a script. I just drew the poster. Amazing Ed Destroy asks, are you Sylvester Stallone's son? Sorry to disappoint, but no. This here's my daddy. Corvo Cooper asks, what kind of camera do you use for your videos? I used to shoot my videos with a Canon 5D Mark II, but I upgraded last year to the 4K shooting Panasonic GH4. You can check out an episode I made about it right here. It's a great camera and has sped up my workflow considerably, not to mention it was half the price of the 5D. Michael Towns asks, I like the cool shit you have behind you in your vids. Can you take a sec to film your collection of cool shit? I sure can. Okay, so let's start off with the top shelf. We've got a plush Mario, a Koopa Troopa, Toad, a Meowth figure, Luigi, and some mouses from the new Turtles show. And behind that, I have a boxed Dr. Mario NES card. One level down is my tiny NES collection, and guarding them of course is a plush Squirtle, my favourite Pokemon. I also have a rock from Skywalker Ranch that Mike snatched for me while he was over in the US, as well as one from Francis Ford Coppola's place. He also brought me a 35mm trailer print from my favourite film Unbreakable. Second level down is more games. We've got some Game Boy games here, some Super NES games here, and over yonder we've got my N64 games. Down again we have my PS1, PS2 and a few Mega Drive cartridges, and my Game Boy Advance. Third level down brings us to my GameCube games, and a few boxed Mega Drive games including that piece of shit Shaq Fu, the enforcer of justice himself. We've also got one lowly 360 game. Next we have my Wii games and a couple of AVGN DVDs, and at the bottom we have a few of my framed Ninja Turtle comics. It's not all of them, but you may notice that this is an actual number 1, but it's the Archie comics and it probably ain't worth shit. In the middle is my drum kit from Guitar Hero World Tour, looking remarkably dusty, like most people's I imagine. Back up to the top of our next shelf and we have some Bomb candy containers, an assortment of Mario figurines, and of course my plush hog from my favourite Aussie restaurant, Hog's Breath Cafe. Seriously guys, if you get a chance, try it out. I love their steak so damn much. Moving on, we have the Thundercats Sword of Omens, and if I tilt the camera up, overseeing all of this is a 1980s giant Donatello action figure. One level down we have some Atari 2600 carts, Pikachu, SpongeBob and Donkey Kong, and if I move them out of the way, you can see I have a few boxed games, Zelda 4 Swords, Perfect Dark and that shitty LGN Spider-Man game. I also have some Game Gear games here, despite my Game Gear being, broken. I also have a few Game Boy Advance carts too. Next up I have my boxed Game Boy player for the GameCube, and behind that I have a tiny portion of my Ninja Turtle DVDs. mostly the 2K episodes. Below that, we have my original 1990 VHS copy of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That black VHS box over there contains my first ever short film Paranoia, and of course a boxed spare GameCube, because everyone needs one of those. My last two shelves contain some Blu-ray discs and my boxed Married with Children DVD set. I have a bunch more crap laying around and the studio is a total mess at the moment, so I'm sure I'll do a proper tour at some point. However, the newest addition to the studio is right here. That's right, I put a damn Stairmaster in here so I can get some cardio in while I'm waiting for uploads or renders. These things are goddamn hard work, so if you think that's nuts, you're probably right. And finally, over here we have April, Don, Peg and George. I always have my dogs in here when I'm filming these things. It's probably not the best idea, but hey, I like them. Well, I hope that answers your question. Okay, questions 6, 7, 8 come from the Mad Ice King. What made you decide to start on YouTube? I presume you have a job in the video editing department. What exactly do you do? What are your plans for the future? YouTube-wise, of course. What made me start posting videos on YouTube was pretty simple. 6 years ago in 2009, I had spent over 7 months making the first episode of my web series Nexus, which I shot entirely in my kitchen on a green screen, and I was looking for a way to bring it to an audience. YouTube seemed like a good fit, and the show, it really never took off, and I didn't post anything for quite some time. It wasn't until 2011 that I posted my first Mo Diddley video as a birthday present to my buddy Mike Frudenberg. My friends and family seemed to enjoy the video, and that encouraged me to make more of them. I committed myself to making one video a month, which didn't always happen. But I had the bug now. I moved on to sketches and started pairing the sketches with a behind the scenes video, and I found that I enjoyed making the behind the scenes videos more than the actual sketches. And that's of course where Film Learnin started. And the rest, they say, is history. What exactly do you do for a living? You'd be right in assuming I have a job in media. I produce all the multimedia content and run the learning management system for a public hospital in my hometown. So basically, I'm involved in every aspect of producing online educational content for the hospital. So Film Learning and my job are kind of a match made in heaven, as it's essentially what I do as a 9 to 5. What are my plans for the future, YouTube-wise of course? My plans aren't too complicated really. I'll keep making Film Learning and as many other videos as I can, and with any luck, I'll build up an even bigger fan base of loyal viewers just like you guys. We've had a big subscriber jump this past month, so hopefully that trend continues because it's great to wake up with an inbox full of new subscriber notifications. Makes a man feel good. Richard Finlay asks, what got you started in this kind of work? Was it a particular film or effect? The film that made me want to make films was the 1994 Alex Proyas film The Crow. There was just something so visually striking about it, and it just sort of reached into my brain and said, you want to do this. And I've been chipping away at it ever since. Princeton Production asked, how did you get into effects? That's an easy one. The first effect I ever did was having myself sort of walk into frame and walk out of frame within the same space. In fact, here's the effect right here. I know, pretty crappy, right? Then one day, my buddy Mike came across After Effects. I think it was version 5, and we started reading tutorial books and forums, and it all sort of snowballed from there. The internet is an awesome place to learn new skills, and of course, there's the porn. RG Entertainment asked, what kind of equipment do you use to shoot Film Learning? And will there be more food battles? Smiley face. Well, we've covered the camera, so let's talk about the other stuff. I generally light myself with 2 softbox lights that I got off eBay. If I pull off the cover here, you'll see that they're pretty basic. Just 5 globes all coming out of one hub. They fall over from time to time too, so that's why they're all missing some globes. My microphone is a Rode NTG2 mounted on a $20 mic stand, and that's hooked up to a Zoom H4n recorder. I also use this here teleprompter that I made myself out of 2 photo frames, a hinge, and a piece of carpet. The idea is that I put the camera behind the glass like so, chuck a blanket over the top, and then place this iPad running a teleprompter app, and bam! I can read all of the complicated crap I have to say and still stare straight down the barrel of the camera. And this only cost about $15 to make too. Which brings us to our final question. Will there be more food battles? Indeed, we will be bringing back Food Battle again. We've actually had a couple of aborted attempts since the pilot, as I've been trying to arrange for a rematch with Mike, but since he's on the other side of the country and we both have jobs and other commitments, it takes a bit of time to figure out the logistics. But rest assured, our next battle will be out soon and feature the Doritos Roulette Challenge. That said, if you have a food battle idea or want to challenge me or Mike, drop me a line on the Facebook page or my Twitter. So guys, that brings us to the end of Season 2 of Film Learnin. The response to this season has been great, and I'd like to welcome all of our new subscribers and throw a big old high five to those who stuck around since Season 1. Right there. If you're new here, why not follow suit? I'm just saying, it's right there. You guys submitted a ton of requests for season 3, and I have no doubt it's going to be our biggest and best season yet. I've booked a few paid director gigs, and I'm also shooting a short film this month while we're on hiatus, but that doesn't mean the content stops on the channel. No. We will still have weekly videos, a few new animations, and some specials, so stay tuned until season 3 rears its dynamically handsome head. And as always, keep learning!